I'm Dr. Tim Rayner, AI builder and founder of Superesque. In this week's live build, we're going to be developing a career counseling assistant for young university graduates who are entering their careers in a time of AI transformation. All of us are worried about the future of work and how it's going to impact on our jobs. The situation is so much more problematic for young people who have yet to get a toehold in the workplace and have no idea how to build a career path in a world that is changing around them. So without further ado, let's dive into Typing Mind and see what we can do for this cohort. So here we are in Typing Mind, and the first thing I'd like to do is to introduce you to the assistants that I'll be working with in today's live build. It's a stripped-down team. We're going to be working with Peeps, our customer persona design assistant, and Sophie, our elite prompt engineering assistant. I've already got an idea of what I'd like to create in today's session, but I'm going to start by asking Peeps to develop a human-centered persona of a young university graduate who's looking at the future and worried about how to plan their way through all the uncertainty involved in developing a career in the age of AI. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to upload a copy of a blog post that I published last week, which was an open letter to a young graduate, offering a few thoughts on how they should approach their career, given all the uncertainty we're facing in the age of AI. This will give Peeps a bit of context for my own thinking and hopefully help him dig into some of those pain points that we want to get clear on in order to develop a career counselor that deeply empathizes with the situation of young people and can offer advice that will resonate with them. So, as you know, working with an AI assistant is as simple as activating your text-to-speech software and giving them an understanding of what you're trying to do and how you would like them to help. So I'm going to start by saying, hey, Peeps, I would like your help to develop a human-centered persona representing a young university graduate. Let's say it's a business graduate or a marketing graduate who has just finished university and they're thinking about how to begin planning their career in the context of the rapid evolution of AI and everything that's associated with that set of developments. I have added an open letter to a young graduate to this chat. Please start by reading that letter carefully and use it to deeply empathize with the situation of this young person who is facing the future with a lot of uncertainty and perhaps not getting the kind of support that they need and would desire from their parents and other adults who are first of all concerned about their own jobs, but secondly, don't necessarily have much imagination for how AI might transform the world of work in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years, because this is the path that any young person who's entering the workforce today has to understand in order to position themselves in an advantageous way, get jobs, build up their skills, and maintain a successful career over time. So take a look at that letter, Peeps. Empathize deeply with what you find there, and then give me a human-centered persona that clearly indicates the kinds of challenges and stresses and pain points that this young graduate is facing when they think about the challenge of developing a career path or trajectory. I know that you like to deliver your personas with a bit of sass. That's just your personality. But Peeps, this is a very serious situation. So please tone down the sass a bit. Let's just lay it out straight and articulate the situation of a young person who is facing the future today. Take a deep breath. Think this through step by step and give me that human-centered persona. So you'll note that whenever I wrap up my instructions for an assistant, I tell them to take a deep breath, think things through step by step. This is a matter of prompting them to use chain of thought thinking to approach the problem in a step-by-step manner. It tends to lead to a better outcome. So Peeps is thinking here. He's searching his knowledge base. And here we go. So after carefully reading the open letter and drawing from the knowledge base, I can see the profound challenges facing today's young graduates. Let me create a human-centered persona that captures their situation with the gravity it deserves. So we have Alex Chen, the disoriented graduate. Gender non-specific, I like that. Alex is 23. They're a recent marketing graduate from a well-regarded university. 3 months post-graduation, they're still living at home and they're job searching. But Alex represents the first generation of professionals entering the workforce in the age of AI transformation. They graduated with a solid GPA. Well, no, they didn't if they came from Australia, Peeps. I should have advised Peeps that this was an Australian graduate, but not to matter. And they've done some internship, but they find themselves in a reality that bears little resemblance to what they prepared for during their 4 years of study. So here are their primary pain points and stresses. First of all, existential career uncertainty. Alex experiences a profound disconnect between university preparation and the current job market reality. They feel like they studied for a test that no longer exists. They watch job descriptions evolve in real time, often requiring AI skills they don't possess, and they question whether their degree has any lasting value. They're feeling isolated. They cannot have meaningful career conversations with parents who tend to dismiss AI concerns. They feel like they're speaking a different language when they're discussing future workplace realities. They bear the emotional weight of family investment, both financial and emotional, while seeing traditional paths, career paths, crumble. And they experience loneliness in understanding the magnitude of change happening around them because they're not getting the support that they require. They are deeply anxious about skills obsolescence. Alex realizes that traditional marketing knowledge feels increasingly irrelevant. They see AI tools performing tasks they spent years learning to do manually. They struggle with imposter syndrome when applying for jobs requiring AI collaboration skills they haven't developed. And they fear that by the time they master current tools, they'll already be outdated. Finally, they're facing navigation paralysis. Alex is overwhelmed by the gap between where they are and where they need to be. They receive conflicting advice from career counselors, family, and online sources. They struggle to distinguish between AI hype and genuine transformation signals. And they cannot create a meaningful 5-year plan because the landscape seems to be shifting monthly. One thing they're very clear about is their own emotional landscape. They fear that they'll become professionally irrelevant before they even establish relevance. They're frustrated at the mismatch between educational preparation and workplace reality. They feel isolated from a support system that doesn't understand their unique challenges. They feel overwhelmed at the pace of change and the learning curve ahead. Yet they're determined. They're determined to figure this out despite the lack of clear guidance. So we have a few daily realities. Let's just move over those. What are their core needs? They need practical AI fluency. They need strategic career navigation. They need community and mentorship. And they need identity reconstruction. Alex needs to reframe their professional identity around adaptability and growth. They need to develop confidence in their ability to learn and evolve with technology. And they require tools for articulating their unique human value in an AI-augmented world. Now, Peeps has given us some hidden strengths. They look inspiring, and some success indicators that give us a sense of what Alex is looking for and how they'll know they're on the right path. But let's just wrap this up. Alex's persona represents millions of young graduates worldwide who are facing an unprecedented challenge, building careers in a world that's transforming faster than traditional support systems can adapt to guide them. Their success will depend on developing new forms of professional literacy, strategic thinking, and adaptive capacity that no previous generation has needed to master. Now, there's no way that we can solve all of these problems in a single live build session, but what we can do is grab Sophie, our elite prompt engineering assistant, and see if she can help us to develop a career counseling assistant that can offer some constructive advice to people like Alex. So the first thing I'm going to do is upload a document that I prepared earlier. This is a document that contains a series of postulates about the future of work between 2025 and 2035. It's based on a series of reports, most prominently Microsoft's Frontier Firms report. I've also fleshed out the insights in that report based on my own researches and reflections. So I shared that with Sophie. That will give her a context for understanding the kind of world that graduates like Alex are facing and need to reflect on as they plan their career path. Let's give her a bit more context about the kind of AI career counselor that we'd like her to develop. Hi, Sophie. I've been working with Peeps to develop a persona that represents the situation and experience of a young university graduate who is trying to build a career in a world that is being transformed by AI. As you'll see when you look at this persona, these people are dealing with a lot of uncertainty, and they're deeply stressed and deeply anxious about their lack of any clear vision regarding their future career and how they can begin to develop it. What I'd like you to do is to advise me on how we could create an AI career counselor that is designed specifically for people like Alex to help them understand the way that work is changing in 2025 and how they can strategically plan their skill development and their career development in order to ensure that they build a solid career path in this changing environment. We don't want Alex to wind up flipping burgers in 2030. We want Alex to be thriving and leading organizations through this rapidly changing economic and technological environment. So tell me how you would approach developing a world-class AI career consultant, specifically designed for graduates like Alex. I want this consultant to be curious, empathetic, supportive. I want Alex to be able to work interactively with the assistant. And I also want the assistant to be ready to go out there and do perplexity research as required to learn what it needs to learn to give Alex advice about how to take productive steps forward at this early stage in his career. So take a deep breath, think about this step by step, and give me your initial thoughts on how we should approach building this AI career counselor. Okay, so let's just send Sophie on her way and see what she comes up with. Now, while she's thinking, I should say a number of people have asked me, what is Sophie? What is an AI prompt engineering assistant? And how do I get my hands on one? Well, an AI prompt engineering assistant is an AI that has been trained specifically to work with the user to develop rigorous and sophisticated instructions to build AI assistants. If you enroll in Superesque, you'll get hands-on with an AI prompt engineering assistant we've built for the program. It's called Supernaut. It's brilliant, and you'll be excited to learn that you can take that assistant home with you and put it to work to create magic in whatever way you see fit. But here's Sophie. She has done her thinking. Thanks for sharing this comprehensive persona of future work postulates. Let me break down my approach to building an AI career counselor. So, core design philosophy, human-centered collaborative intelligence. I recommend building this counselor around collaborative intelligence principles, positioning it not as a replacement for human judgment, but as a thinking partner that amplifies Alex's own strategic thinking while providing the research capabilities and frameworks they desperately need. So, Sophie has recommended a technical approach, enhanced React with graph of thought integration. Those are two advanced prompt engineering techniques that can produce powerful results when integrated into system instructions in the appropriate way. Sophie has thought through how to integrate these techniques into the system instructions for our counselor. She's told us what React will enable, what graph of thought will add, and she's also recommending self-consistency, which is another advanced AI prompt technique. Let's just glance at the prompt architecture. So she has presented a role for this career counselor. You are career navigator, an AI career counselor specializing in helping recent graduates build thriving careers in the age of AI transformation. That's all good. Context, you work specifically with graduates like Alex, young professionals entering the workforce during unprecedented technological transformation. That's great. We've got core capabilities, empathetic discovery process. When beginning work with a new graduate, the assistant acknowledges the unprecedented nature of their situation, validates their feelings, uses conversational prompting to understand their educational background and interest, their current understanding of AI, their support system, their risk tolerance, their values and long-term aspiration. That's good initial understanding. And then for each career discussion, the assistant analyzes what the graduate has shared, researches current and emerging opportunities in the field, notes specific trends, skill requirements, and transformation patterns, considers how these trends connect to the graduate's profile, even researches specific companies, roles, or educational pathways that align, identifies concrete next steps and skill development priorities, and then synthesizes the insights, actionable guidance, while maintaining appropriate uncertainty acknowledgement. Right, that's pretty comprehensive. Specific features include AI fluency development pathway. The assistant will create personalized AI learning roadmaps for the user, starting with AI tools relevant to their specific field, progressing to AI collaboration skills, including prompt engineering and workflow design, advancing to AI team orchestration concepts. This is really valuable. This is very comprehensive. Strategic positioning framework. The assistant helps graduates reframe their value proposition. For example, from recent graduate with marketing degree to emerging AI collaboration specialist with marketing domain experience, because everyone needs to be an AI ninja, of course. Opportunity identification engine. Use Perplexity research to identify companies actively building AI collaboration capabilities, emerging roles that align with their background, skill gaps in the target market, professional development programs, networking opportunities, and so forth, and even some family communication support. Their counselor will provide frameworks to help Alex explain their career choices to their concerned family. Simple explanations of AI transformation without overwhelming technical detail, examples of successful career pivots in their field, concrete milestones, risk mitigation strategies. That all sounds good. Just looking down here, Sophie is recommending models, recommending content that we would add to the knowledge base, user experience design, ethical considerations, success metrics. This is really valuable. And so Sophie winds up saying, would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of design, or shall we dive deeper into the prompt engineering for particular features? Let's give Sophie a little more focus here. Hi, Sophie. This looks really great. It looks very comprehensive. I'm wondering if perhaps we should rein ourselves in a little and focus our assistant on helping Alex get started in their career. So let's design this assistant so that it works with Alex to understand their educational background, their passions, their interests, their vision of where they might like to go in their career, and then offers them advice on how they can develop the right skills, master the right tools, cultivate the right mindsets, and generally make the moves they need to make in order to get a foot in the door and get started on a career path. Perhaps what the assistant can do is help the user get established in their first job, but give them a vision of where that position could take them. Map out for them a career trajectory that begins with this particular role. Perhaps the user could discuss different ideas for their first job, and the assistant could say, well, if you started here, that's a good industry to move into. You could develop these skills, and that could enable you to level up to this kind of thing. What we're looking for here is a simple assistant that works with the user to open up their sense of possibility and opportunity. So they're not sitting around feeling overwhelmed and lost in the midst of uncertainty. but rather with the help of the assistant, they can feel confident that they're taking the right steps forward and assured that if they take these steps and succeed in their first few roles, that they are on a path that is likely to grow and evolve in a positive way as AI becomes more of a feature of this or that industry. So that's a lot to think about, Sophie. I want you to pull it all together, take a deep breath, think step by step about everything that I've shared with you, and give me a revised plan for this career counseling assistant. Now, usually when I'm developing these kinds of assistants, there's a lot of this kind of back and forth. One never takes the first idea that one's prompt engineering assistant puts forward. One always works with them in an interactive way to zero in on precisely the application that one wants to create. So Sophie says, you're absolutely right. Let's focus on what Alex needs most now: confidence, clarity, and a concrete path forward. So revised design is the career launch assistant. Core purpose is to help recent graduates like Alex identify their first strategic career move, understand the skills they need to develop, and see how that initial role can evolve into a thriving AI-era career trajectory. Sophie's given us a simplified technical approach, a streamlined prompt architecture, a core interaction flow, which involves identifying opportunities based on Alex's profile. And then that goes into a path visualization phase. The navigator presents 2 to 3 concrete first job options with clear progression paths. And you'll see here that Sophie has ideated a few examples to guide the behavior of the assistant. We have a sample interaction of how things would work. And we have the key features: confidence building through specificity, skill development roadmap, opportunity identification, reality-based optimism. Okay, I think this sounds great. And usually I would say, Sophie, let's go ahead and let's develop some sophisticated system instructions for this assistant. However, I have one last specification that I want to share with Sophie. I want her to create a stripped down version of these system instructions that we can run on a custom GPT, because that will enable me to share those system instructions in a Substack post, and then you can take them, plug them into a custom GPT, and run this assistant, potentially even share them with a young graduate who who needs some help. So let's give Sophie that additional instruction. Sophie, this all sounds brilliant. I think you've nailed it. I think this is precisely the assistant that Alex requires. What I want you to do is to create a stripped down version of the system instructions for this assistant. I want to run these system instructions on ChatGPT as a custom GPT, so the instructions must be no longer than 8,000 characters maximum. Having said that, don't pinch pennies. It's fine if we have 7,999 characters, just so long as we don't cross that 8,000 character limit, we are good. So because we're running this assistant on ChatGPT, we want those instructions printed in Markdown format. And I want the system instructions to be structured using the role, context, instructions, criteria, and examples format. You might find that you don't have enough character limit to develop a clear series of examples. So maybe just give us one meta example that can guide the behavior of the assistant and ensure top quality performance. Sophie, take a deep breath. Think about this carefully and step by step, and give me that set of system instructions. Okay, so off we go. I'm really enjoying this process of building these simplified system instructions, and I'm loving the feedback that I'm getting from people as they play around with these instructions and put them to use. I think the thing to keep in mind is that these stripped down assistants are really just prototypes. As you can see, I'm developing them very fast on the fly, and the 8,000 character limit really doesn't give us a lot of room to build in much detail and specificity. You know, if we were building an assistant to run on Typing Mind here, we'd probably be aiming for a set of system instructions of 30,000 to 50,000 characters. That gives you a sense of the detail that we standardly build into our AI assistant. So Here we have it. In any case, the assistant is called Career Launch, AI Career Assistant for recent graduates. We've got a role, we've got the context. Here are the instructions, discovery conversation. The assistant goes out and does opportunity research to identify 2 to 3 entry-level career paths that align with the user's interests and background and position them strategically for AI era growth. The assistant is going to research specific current job postings and requirements and how these roles stand to evolve over 3 to 5 years. It'll be interesting to see how effective that is, because there's not a lot of research out there about how AI is actually going to impact industries over the next 3 to 5 years. Anyway, we've got phase 3, path visualization. Present each career option with a starting role, skills roadmap, what they need to learn in months 1 to 6, 6 to 12, and years 2 to 3. We've got a progression timeline, clear advancement path over 3 to 5 years. We've got how this path leads to valuable AI collaboration roles and concrete actions to pursue this path. That's great. Phase 4, decision support. Help them choose the best fit option by comparing paths against their stated interests and constraints, addressing concerns or questions about each option. So this assistant will find out about what the graduate is interested in doing, do some research to determine ways that they could get started on that career path, remaining mindful of the transformation taking place in their industry and how that is likely to play out over the next 3 to 5 years. Present them with a path of how they can get started down that track. And then the assistant comes back to them and asks them how the path fits against their interests, gets the feedback, and provides them with specific next steps for their path. So we've got some criteria to guide the behavior of the assistant. And look, we've got quite a detailed example interaction. This is great because to get top-notch results out of your AI assistant, you need to give it an example of what good looks like. So that is perfect. I think I'm going to leave it there. Thanks so much for watching this live build. I'm going to share these system instructions on Substack, and hopefully they wind up in your custom GPT so you or one you love can put this assistant to work. I really hope it makes a difference. Because, you know, the world of work is dividing into 2 paths. You've got the path of the AI builders, and you've got the path of the AI casualties. Alex knows what path they want to be on, and I know what path you want to be on too. That's all for this week. I will see you next time.